This video is how to make anyone fall in love with you in less than 30 minutes. If you are interested in watching this and gaining some NLP awesome skills on how to understand power of attraction, then you should follow this video. Are you ready? Going in. Before we start, I just want to say that this video, you can see the full length by one and only David Snyder. He's one of the greatest NLP masters and is a hypnotherapist. He's into sociology, to anthropology, and in neuroscience. He's very famous when it comes to power of attraction, how to seduce anybody, power of habits, the power poses that we spoke before. Anyway, moving on. Originally, this course was made for women to seduce men because men fall in love much more faster. I'm not going to get into this right now, but it's what it is. However, this test does work amazingly also when men performing it to women. Of course, if men can hold their mouth shut and not start talking because they just got overwhelmed, because this is working insanely good. In order to make this work, we have to do something first. We need to understand that all people, they usually in the world, they move in these 4 states. Our attention is either internal, either external. What do I mean by that? If you do not live in a war zone or somewhere, let's say like in the Amazon, where you need your survival skills, you probably live in an internal state, which is in your mind. Also, there is associate and dissociate state. Associate are most of the people that like to experience things. When they try things all the time, constantly being present. Dissociate is when people are constantly thinking about things that they want to do, things that they have done, or things that they wish they have done. And that is why the most common idea between human beings is time traveling. Now, how did I know that every single person in the world have thought about time machine? That is because we time travel every single day. Think about it. You think about your past. You think about your future. You are barely present. And most of people, they work internal state and dissociate. If we want this technique to work, we got to bring it out to the real world, which is now present. Now that you got that, let's move on. This video about 3 magic questions, which comes with 3 different categories of questions. The first level of question is location, occasion. Basically, what are you doing here and why? Of course, we're not going to be asking those questions right away. And I really highly recommend for you to understand this, that this will not work to a person that you never had an eye contact with. Just to be sure, guys, those people have to be on the bottom of the list. Having an eye contact with somebody and a smile should be something first. Also, if you have an eye contact with somebody and do this, which put it up the eyebrow, and the person who's standing across you responds with the same way, that is the unconscious hello. After we accomplish an eye contact and a conscious hello and a smile, we're moving on to our first level of questions. However, we need to soften those questions. So this is what you have to do first. We don't want to make it look weird, and we don't want to make it to look like an interrogation. But before asking a question, you have to state that you're going to be asking a question. For example, now let me ask you a question, just so I can understand you better. What are you doing here? Now you see, it sounds much more softer when you apply what are you going to ask and why, instead of just going there and say, hey, where are you from? What are you doing here? Right? Sounds pretty rough. So we don't want that, because people like that, they freak out and run away. And that is for the boys. Guys, listen up. What are we trying to build here is in the form of attraction. And the fastest way to do that is when we match our values and our beliefs with the person that we're communicating. Have you ever had that moment when you are talking with somebody and you are just finish up each other's sentences and you feel like, oh my God, I feel like I know this person for the whole of my life. I'm in love. That is exactly what we are trying to accomplish here. That effect. Keep watching. Also, some rules to understand. We have to ask the questions in certain ways so we don't get a yes or no answer. That is very bad. You need to understand that human beings are very self-reflecting creatures. We really like to talk about ourselves. What you need to do is to make the other person to give you as much as information about himself before you say anything about you. Why? Because you want to know if your values, beliefs, morals, ethics, and even goals in life are matching. Just take a piece of paper and a pen and start checking things. Goals, got it. Values, got it. Beliefs, not really. Out, this guy is done. And then we move on to the second level of questions, which is career and passion. Now, why career and passion? Because most of the time, people are very connected to what they do. When you ask somebody, what do you do for a living? He will not tell you, well, I serve tables. No, he will tell you, I'm a waiter or I'm a waitress, right? So it becomes certain of identity. Now, when you asked about somebody about his career, it is not really necessary that the person really like what he does. If you met a girl in the bar and she's the bar woman, I'm pretty sure that's not the passion that she had. And she wants to be something more in the future. And that is why that we have to move to the passion. However, in order to do that, we have to make it softly. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you met a woman somewhere in the cafeteria, you had an eye contact, you were going to talk to her, you start talking and she tells you she is a lawyer. What do you say? Oh, a lawyer. That's interesting. Oh, why don't you tell me, how did you got into law? Did you always want to be a lawyer? Who did inspire you to do that? By asking those set of questions, we're able to make the person speak more so we can identify the role model of its speech. What do I mean by that? You have a personal model of speech. Every time in the talk, you highlight some words that means very much to your unconscious mind. For example, if you see somebody say, oh my God, this place was to die for, what you just noticed? That I said a particular word and I expressed myself very emotionally, and I highlight a word with a certain tone and I did a gesture. Those are the signs that you have to really, really watch and listen to this. You have to repeat them also. Let me explain. What we are trying to do is to build rapport. Now, what is rapport? Cannot believe I'm going to get into this NLP right now. Oh my God. Basically, rapport is when two people are working in synergy. So we call in NLP pacing and leading. When you see two people running, jogging together every day, they work out. What you will notice is that eventually one of the two people will align with the second one, and they will be running on the same rhythm. That is what we're trying to do now. We try to align with the person that we like and that we're talking to. So we are pacing with them in order so we can lead after. After we extract all the information about what they do here, with who did they come from, what is their career, we're moving on to the most interesting part. What is your passion? And oh my God, that is the best one. Now let me tell you why. You need to understand that the brain does not actually hold any memories. The brain, every time it's trying to remember, it is recreating memories. So every time you are remembering something, you are creating a new memory. Hold that thought because we're going to need it soon. Now understand this. You can also say, what is your passion? And straight after that, you should ask, what makes your heart sing? Basically, going to sound like this. Oh, what is your passion? What makes your heart sing? you see, it has a different, more deep meaning as a question. As soon as you say those words, the person will start expressing himself and he will open up to you. And I bet that in less than 30 minutes, you will be the person that knows more about him than anybody else in the world. Why? Because you're the only one who asks all the questions. Because we like to talk about ourselves. And that is our biggest mistakes. That is the biggest mistakes of men. They go to a woman and they start selling like it's a goddamn product. Hey, listen, girl, I'm this, I'm that, I'm cool, I'm stuff like this. And an hour later, she's like, and you're going home alone and saying, oh my God, I don't know why it didn't work. Well, because you didn't ask her what she wants. You didn't show any interest. You were just performing yourself. So do not do the same mistake. Instead of that, listen and repeat. I want you to repeat everything she say. For example, if you ask her a question, what is your passion? And she will say, oh, my passion is to be an influencer. Then you should respond, oh, an influencer and a model. Really? That's so interesting. How come? By repeating her words and giving them back to her, what are you doing? You'll basically settle down the deal with her unconscious mind. What people don't really understand is that when you give them back their words, consciously nothing happens. They just pass through your conscious mind. But on your unconscious mind, your unconscious mind say, hey, I like this guy. He speaks the same language as I do. Maybe we should give him another chance. He really cares about us. Look how many questions he's asking. He really likes you and he wants to really know you. That is exactly what's going on the back of the head. The only thing you have to do is to stay to the script. I don't care if you're a woman, if you're a man. This will work every single time. I only have two advices. One for women. Ladies, if you see that this man, after asking a few questions, is not the man that you want, you should cut that out fast before he falls in love with you. And guys, I'm coming up to you. If you find a woman and her values and beliefs have nothing to do with you, please let her pass. Don't just go in because it's something that you can. Don't do that to yourself because you might end up with some crazy people. Believe me, I have done this. Now, after those questions, if you like the person and you want to go a little bit more deeper in the rabbit hole, then we go to question number 5. And that is pleasant past childhood. As I said before, people don't really remember. They don't have stored memories. So every time when you talk to them and you ask them to remember something, they have to create a whole new memory. What do you think happens when you ask somebody about his happy childhood? Imagine somebody asking you about happy days of your childhood, what you were doing as a child. Who was your best friend? What was your favorite game? And while you discussing and talking about it, the person who's sitting right opposite from you looks you in the eyes and even touches your hand. Do you understand what is happening in that moment? In that moment, you are recreating a childhood memory with all the feelings, all the serotonin, all the oxytocin, all the love hormones. And this time, you are in that picture with her or with him. Be very careful how you're going to use these techniques because these techniques actually work very, very well. And it can be actually dangerous, like making a spell. It's magic, guys. They actually work too well. And if you want to see the full video of this technique, comment on the video, and I will share the link to everybody who want to see David Snyder and the Power of Attraction. It's 1.5 hour video. He also has plenty more techniques that I'm sure you're going to love. Guys, I hope you enjoy this video. Share, comment below, and I'll see you soon.